In Parshat Vayechi, we are together with Jacob in his last few days. And he summons together all of his sons, the 12 tribes, and he blesses them. But these are more than just blessings. There are different components. There is also rebuke. But there is also what we would call today an ethical will. We're all familiar with the idea of a will, where a person leaves a document in which they apportion their property to their family members or to their friends. Or today you have something which is a living will, where people give instructions again to family and friends as to how they want to be treated if they're in a medically compromised situation. But we have a third type of a will, and that is an ethical will. And there are many, many examples of ethical wills throughout history, and of course in the Tanakh, in the Jewish Bible, and also in the Talmud. And this is one such example, where a person, knowing and sensing that they're coming towards the end of their life, call their children, their family, and instruct them. Give them instructions. Try to hand over to them different values, the values that they lived with and the values that they treasured and which they felt were important. In the more modern era, we find, for example, the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon was on his way to the land of Israel. He was going to make Aliyah. In the end, the whole plan was aborted. But on the way there, he wrote a letter to his family, and we have that letter. And in that letter, he concentrates particularly on evil speech, not to speak Lashon Hora, not to gossip, not to slander. He even suggests to his daughters that they don't go to shul, because often when they go to shul, they're just going to chat and they're going to say negative things. Another famous example of this would be Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, the author of the Sefer Hasidim. Sefer Hasidim is a book of ethics, of morals, written many hundreds of years ago by a famous German rabbi. And it also contains with it an ethical will, where he leaves certain rulings and ideas and customs to his family. We also find in the Haftarah of the Parsha of this week, where King David is on his deathbed, and he calls his son Solomon. According to our sages, Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, was just a young lad. He was 13 years old, and he directs him, and he transfers to him his values, how you should live, what is important, what are the guidelines that a person should live by. And in the case of King David, he says to Solomon, you want to be a good king, you want to be a great person, keep the mitzvot, the commandments, which are written in Torah Moshe, in the Torah of Moshe. That will guide you throughout your entire life. And likewise, Jacob, in our Pasha, gathers together his children. He knows each and every one of them. Each one has a particular personality. Each one has a particular character. And he tells them to concentrate on their character, on their personality. And he gives them values for each and every one in how that they should live to become the very best human being and the very best Jew. This is what we have to consider. Very often we're only really concerned about our property. Who's that going to? But what about what's really important? How to live as a mensch, how to live in a moral way, how to be a good Jew. This is the ethical world that we should hand over to our children. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.